Welcome to the Run Out. I am Neil Barrett. He is Brandon Hooten. We have so much to get into this week. Colorado completes a doubleheader. Buffalo might maybe be back, and our Tewaaraton pick took a big giant hit this weekend. But before we get into all of that, Brandon, how you doing, man?
Doing well. Had a busy weekend. Shot 4 games of lacrosse.
The
That's
busiest
about it.
man in lacrosse.
Literally all that happened. I lived on a lacrosse.
Hey, two of them were indoor. One of them, two of them. How many of the Mammoth
One
games
was
did you?
indoor.
Oh, that's right, because the other one was in Vegas. Duh, idiot.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's cool. Got to do some fun stuff. You were at the academy. Woo.
Yeah, that's true. They gave me a hard time about getting on base because I didn't have a base pass. Yeah. No one tells you when they're enforcing that or not. And the lady tried to hold me up. I was sitting there for like 3.5 minutes, like trying to explain to her. I was like, I have the email, and she's like, no, you have to go to the other gate to get this pass. And I was just like, lady, I was like, I can show you my cameras. I don't.
Oh, did you try and go in the back gate and not go to the main gate?
No, I went to the main gate, but apparently, if you don't already have a base pass, you have to go to the south gate to obtain a base pass.
Why would that not be at the main gate?
Look, beginning of last year, they did this, where their media person told me, you need to get a base pass. I was like, okay, cool, no problem. At some point, that kind of stopped the last few times I went, so I just assumed, like, no one said anything, it's not happening. And then I get there, and all of a sudden, they're doing it again. And she's like, yeah, go to the south. I was like, why would I go all the way around the entire city to get this pass? Like, this seems counterintuitive, but regardless, I got on there. It was fun. But yeah, very wild entry experience.
That's really weird. I don't want to say that that's never been a thing. It probably has. Every base I've ever been to, the main gate had the place where you went to go get the base. It's the main gate. Like, why?
Yep.
Why would it be at a different gate? Whatever.
Yep.
Anyway, trying to think of what I even did this week. Nothing. What did I do this weekend? I really have no idea. The entire weekend is just like gone. I know I watched lacrosse on Sunday. A little bit some of the other days too, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I did. Blacked out apparently.
Yeah.
Okay, that's enough of that, right? Let's move into some actual lacrosse conversation here. We will start with the NLL Week 12, where Colorado beat Las Vegas 13-12 on Friday night, and then came back on Saturday night, right? Saturday?
Yep.
And beat Toronto 16-8. They have now won 7 straight games and are firmly sitting in second place. That matchup at the end of the season for them, sorry, I should have had this pulled up and been more prepared. It's the second to last weekend when they play Saskatchewan. Could be for that number 1 seed, assuming that Colorado keeps going the way they're going, and so does Sask. But yeah, I know you were there for the Toronto game. I know you had lots of thoughts about the Toronto game because you texted them. But winning both games in the doubleheader is always a plus. So, how you feeling?
Feel great. Picked them for both games. The Vegas game got a little sketchy there towards the end, but
it did, weirdly.
I know I mentioned last week that this is the type of game Vegas kind of thrives in, just because of how high scoring they can be. And I mean, I was laughing at Andrew Kew's goal total being set at 2.5. Again, no disrespect, but look at who he's playing. He had
Did
5
you hit
goals.
the over on that?
I don't bet anymore, so I didn't bet. But if I was a betting man, I definitely would have. But over the last 4 games, Cue Ball has had 10 plus points in 3 of them. He had 6 points against Vegas in this one. And then come back the next night and absolutely dominate the Rock. I'll just be honest, the Rock looked sluggish. They looked like the team that was playing a back to back.
Yep.
And they
Yep.
weren't. So don't know what happened there, but great weekend for the boys.
I feel like you might have been reading my notes because I was watching that Toronto game, and I don't know why, but it just kind of popped in my head. And I know that you will be glad that the trade happened, but looking back on it now, how bad is that Andrew Kew trade for Georgia?
Well, Georgia's pretty good right now, so I don't know that they necessarily care all that much.
Yes, but what do we talk about every single week on this show that they need?
I mean, I'm just saying they're pretty good, but yes, that's why like when it happened, I was like, these people need to chill out. This is a great trade. I don't really see what the issue was, and then you just kind of see it every week where this is just what he can do. And like I know people were kind of up in arms about the whole MVP photo that the NLL put out. Was it last week when he was like the third candidate? And I understand it to a degree, but then I look at his numbers and I'm like, this dude is like killing every single game, legitimately. And yeah, I mean for Georgia to not get anyone back that can actually play right now is just so wild to me that they like. I just can't figure out the thought process other than they wanted to get younger, but Andrew Kew is not old, so even that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But yeah, Brad Self, what an offseason for that guy. He some of the trades he managed to pull off. Now I'm just like, I don't know how.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking about it, and I was like, there were. It immediately made me think of the Will Manny trade. That's going to be probably a little bit before your time, and then obviously it was an MLL trade, which I know you weren't really following even when you did get into lacrosse. Will Manny in 2016 or 2017, I cannot remember off the top of my head, was traded from the Boston Cannons to the New York Lizards for essentially for 2 players. It was technically Will Manny and another player were traded for 2 players. And then I think there was like a pick swap in there or 2. And the 2 players that were traded to the Boston Cannons, same exact thing. Never played. They retired instead of playing. And Will Manny was the guy in Boston. He was their like all-star, like star player, highest scoring guy, everything. And the rumor, and I don't have any inside information on whether or not this is true, but the rumor was that the Boston front office had not done their research and had not talked to the players about whether or not they would come and play for Boston. And both guys were working in New York City and basically were like, no, we're not going to travel to Boston for home games, and retired rather than play for the Boston Cannons. And that's the reason why now when you see these trades happen, at least in the field game, I don't know if this had any impact in the NLL, although you do also now see this kind of language in the NLL as well. That's why things are much more conditional on the player playing for you and stuff, is because of situations like this.
Which is why Georgia had to know, because the picks are conditional in that deal. And it's like, but it's weird because the condition is like if he doesn't play for 2 years, which seems like a long kind of time to wait.
Yeah.
To me, like if we're giving up Andrew Kew, and I got to wait 2 years to see what that pick is, like that's kind of iffy for me. But again, they're having a great season, so they're probably not regretting it too much. But at the same time, they're helping another team like Rast, which is kind of the crazier part, that they're willing, like, yeah, go ahead.
Well, And again, for me, my big thing with them is yes, they are playing very, very well. I think we probably have them third, fourth? Oh yeah, fourth because of Vancouver. Although technically, I guess in the standings they are above Vancouver, but I think if those two teams played tomorrow, you would probably pick Vancouver. Maybe you wouldn't. I don't know, but at least they're right there. And I just think the big thing that they're missing is consistent offensive output. And if they had Andrew Kew right now, they'd have that. And we might be talking about them as the team that can beat Saskatchewan instead of Colorado, and they're not. And I just was thinking about that trade, and then again thinking about that Will Manny trade. Trying to think of some other ones. I was thinking about Miles Jones being traded for Sergio Salcido in the first year of the PLL, and Sergio Salcido was out of the league within a year, and Miles Jones is Miles Jones. And then funnily enough, another one that involved the Boston Cannons was when they traded Paul Rabel. And they traded him for Max Sebald. Again, there were a few other pieces and I think some picks, but it was essentially Paul Rabel for Max Sebald, who is a very good player I actually like that comparison maybe even a little bit better, except for the fact that Connor Kelly never played. Because I was looking at Andrew Kew's stats, and his worst season statistically is still better than Connor Kelly's best season. And so that was kind of that trade, except that again, Connor Kelly has not played for the Georgia Swarm and maybe won't. Which also was interesting to me because the rumor at the time was that Connor Kelly lived in Florida and that Georgia would be closer and he'd be more apt to play. So I don't know, the whole thing is kind of bizarre to me, but
yeah. I also found out this weekend that Cue Ball lives in the Toronto area. So I had that way wrong. I don't remember if I said it on this show early on when the trade happened or not, but I thought he was out west, but then he was on Adam Levy's show, Lacrosse Major, and made the comment. And I was like, okay, that makes sense why he's not.
I do think that you said that here. Because I remember you said something like you thought he was in the Vancouver area.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So Colorado was closer than Georgia. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, just interesting all around. Again, though, I don't know that there's a whole lot to talk about in these games because Las Vegas surprised me a little bit in getting back into that game, though my question would be how much of that was Colorado taking their foot off the gas and stuff, because they were up like 5 or 6, right? And then all of a sudden,
I think they were up 4 late, and then Vegas came back. They actually did kind of tie it, but I think it got called back for something. Can't remember if that was the one where Dylan Ward was laying on the ball or not, but there was something that it got called back, and yeah, they almost let it slip away. But again, it's one of those things where when you're killing teams week over week, you kind of just come to expect it, and then something like this happens, and it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh no. But in reality, they scored 4 goals 3 of the 4 quarters, and they played very well, and they got some great output from Mitch Jones and Cloutier. So you can't even be mad because their stars did what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And also in this game, Dylan Ward moved into 5th all time in minutes played. That was pretty cool too. And I think by the end of the year, he should be able to move up another spot.
Also, not for nothing, let's give Las Vegas a little bit of credit. As bad as we kind of consider that defense and their goaltending situation, I'm not saying holding Colorado to 13 was stellar play, but I mean, that's a very, very good Colorado offense. 13 keeps you in the game. Clearly, it ended up being 13-12. So they probably deserve some credit for the way that they played, even though it ultimately didn't go their way. I guess the one last thing to talk about, and I'm interested to see how much your perspective has changed from the moment, is going to be the Elijah Gash hit.
Nothing's changed. We saw how the league ruled the Hartley hit. And again, let me just put this on the record since these Toronto fans clearly don't have the reading comprehension skills on. My tweet initially had nothing to do with it was dirty or it wasn't dirty. Go back in the tweet and read it. Not a single part of that was about that. The point of the tweet was we saw how the league ruled in the moment and afterwards the Ryan Hartley hit. You need to be consistent as a league. If you were someone that said the Ryan Hartley hit was clean and therefore the Gash hit is clean, cool. That's not what I'm arguing. I don't care about your opinion. I don't care at all. What I do care about is when these leagues come out and they say, your starting goaltender, yeah, he's going to be ejected. You lose the game by a wide margin, mind you. Oh, by the way, now he's suspended a game too. But now because it's a field player, all of a sudden now that's not the same thing. Even if you want to argue, well, he didn't run at the guy. It's the same thing. All I want is consistency in the way that it's called. And the fact that I have Toronto Rock fans in my mentions disagreeing, meanwhile I have NLL media members liking the tweet agreeing with me, is hilarious to see, by the way. So, again, that's why I put in the Discord he should be suspended, because it's the same type of thing that we just saw 2 weeks ago. It's not like we saw it years ago. We just saw it 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, I applaud Elijah Gash for not going head-to-head. Like, I'm not taking anything away from that. But let's have some consistency here in the way that we call the games. I mean, yeah. one dude got a 5 and an ejection. The other dude got a 5 and then reduced to a 2.
Yeah, we talked about it in the Lax Lifers Discord a little bit. And I agree with you. It should be called evenly because remember on the Hartley hit when they gave us that reverse angle and you can see him. One, again, the hit was fairly clean, and it did kind of look like he maybe pulled up a little bit so that he didn't just like plow through the guy.
The only bad part about that hit was that he ran out of his crease to do it.
Yeah,
the
like
literal hit
yards.
Itself was way, way better than what we just saw.
Yeah,
on Saturday,
yes,
which was
I
my
agree.
point.
I agree. I think the hit itself, and I'm with you. I don't think that the Gash hit itself was illegal. My bigger issue is that both of those plays are essentially defenseless receiver plays in football, and it's clearly been an emphasis to try to get out of the game. And I don't know how you can, like you said, look at the Hartley hit and say that was an ejection and a penalty, or an ejection and a suspension, and then look at the Gash hit and be like, nah, that wasn't. It's the same play. The only difference, like you mentioned, was the distance traveled. But I don't know if this was ever a box rule. It probably wasn't, but I can't say that it wasn't for sure. In field lacrosse, when I was growing up, there was a 5-yard rule that essentially allowed you to hit anyone within 5 yards of the ball. And it was written that way, I think, for ground ball scrums, and the idea of like the ball's on the ground, that guy's about to pick it up, I can hit him. But it basically in practice gave you a 5-yard circle around the ball at all times. I literally saw people carrying the ball and some other guy over there got cleaned out because he was within 5 yards of the ball. I don't think it necessarily should have been reffed that way, even as the rule was written, but at the extreme, like that's how it got reffed at times. And the Gash hit felt like a going back to that rule of like, oh, well, he didn't come from outside of 5 yards, so it was fine. And I just don't think that that's how the modern game is played and reffed and ruled in any way. And
well, and also like some of these people were using it as an excuse to be like, well, blame the passer. And it's like two things can be true at the same time. I didn't see a single Mammoth fan defend the pass from Robert Hill. Not a single one. So where that was coming from, I'm like, no one's saying it that you probably shouldn't throw that pass. But the fact of the matter is he's not expecting the dude to just come and light you up like that. Like, it's, be mad at him all you want, but no one's defending the pass either.
I'm not defending the pass. I do think blaming the passer is just stupid, though. Like,
well, I saw some people on Twitter saying, "Give 2 minutes to Robert Hope for the hospital pass, for the buddy passes they're calling." I was like, what? Like, what? It was just so strange seeing the way these people were taking it, the conversation, that I was like, what is happening?
Yeah,
Like,
people are crazy and they think they're tough guys. That's one of the reasons. Again, we were talking about this in Lax Lifers Discord earlier this week. Brad loves to talk crap about me and not really enjoying fights. That's one of the reasons why is because it's just a bunch of like hardo dudes that are like, oh yeah, we get off on the violence, and I'm like,
yeah,
miss me with that.
Well,
like,
and I had one dude on Twitter tell me I might enjoy soccer because I don't like contact, and I absolutely bodied him because I told him to sit this one out since his team was down 9-6. Also, shout out to Orleman for literally flopping because Owen Ron, the air from him running, touched him, so he fell to the ground. You can go watch soccer, buddy. 1, 2. This is the type of situation where Elijah Gash's reputation hurts him. When you have the reputation of being a guy who is willing to scrap a little bit more, maybe has some dirty-ish plays, that's where that stuff hurts you. I mean, we just saw this even with Ryan Hartley, where people were like, hey, this isn't the first time he's done something similar, to where it's getting to that point where it's like, is this type of thing intentional? Like, if this was a random person that was just like, never been in any trouble in the sport, we might all just be like, oh, it was, an accident, whatever. Again, that doesn't mean that the hit's necessarily dirty, but I'm just putting that out there as well, that like that adds on. Like, and especially then when you watch the rest of the game and you see Owen Hiltz come and board Jalen Chaster and a couple other things that you're like,
I was watching that and I like, what are you doing, Owen Hiltz? What are you doing?
And I don't, again, I told you guys, I don't know what he said afterwards, but he went to the box, got in, they then pulled him out to like stand with the ref, I think so they could review it or whatever. And then all of a sudden they were just like, he's gone. And then he got ejected. So I have no idea what happened like right after that whole thing, but
so I don't fully understand the NLL rules, as you know. Watching it on the broadcast, they pulled him out, I think, because they were reviewing the hit because, like, I think essentially the idea was that if it was essentially an intentional boarding call, it was a game misconduct and he was being ejected. So they pulled him out of the box because I think everyone was pretty sure it was going to be ruled like an intentional thing and he was going to be ejected. I don't think he said anything that made it worse and got it. I think it was all just the boarding play.
I just assumed he said something because him and the ref were standing there. And then all of a sudden he was gone. And I was like, oh. Okay.
No, watching the broadcast, like basically from the moment he hit the guy, they were like, oh, he's going to be gone.
Okay.
So that's what
I guess if it's unintentional, then it's just a 5. But if it's intentional, it's a 5 and a game misconduct?
It might be something to do with severity or something. All I know is on the broadcast, basically the moment he hit them, the two broadcasters were like, oh, I think he's about to be ejected from this game, essentially. So,
well, we got word that Chaster's at least good.
That is good.
But man, the slow motion video of his head hitting that wall.
Yeah, it was tough, and it was one. And part of the thing I think too about, like, kind of to your point about him, whether or not he said something to the ref. From what I could see, which wasn't much, it was broadcast television, but from what I could see, it felt like even Owen Hiltz was like, yeah, that was probably more like, yeah, all right. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, Brad Cree got ejected right after too, so that's going to be 2 people fighting suspension this week.
Well, maybe 3.
Who's the 3rd?
We'll see.
Nah, Gash not getting any.
The thing about the Gash one that drove me crazy, all the ruling stuff aside, was that the NLL was promoting it.
I know.
And I'm like,
I know,
dude, it was a penalty on the floor. Like, what are you doing?
It's also such a wild. I don't want to call it a switch up because it's different administrations, kind of running the league. But like, we've known that the last commissioner was very anti like fighting and big hits, and we're not promoting that. And then now we come in and we're like, no, we're going to promote it. It's part of the game, which I'm in agreement with. But then, like you're saying, then it was called a penalty, and we're still promoting it. I'm like, what? That's not.
Yeah,
I loved your analogy of like a pass interference call in the NFL, and the NFL is like posting a clip of it. Like, look at this great defense. It's like that's not.
Yeah. The one on Michael Sowers from a few weeks ago, that big hit where he just basically like ran into a brick wall. Post that all day. Like, great. Yeah. Again, that probably does help. There are people that see that and go, oh, what's this? I got to check this out. And there are going to be people who, because they don't know what happened, who are going to see the Elijah Gash hit and probably be like, oh, I should maybe check this out or something. But it was a penalty on the floor. Like, why are we promoting penalties? Like you said, I mean, you said the analogy. Like, the other one, especially because this could have been an ejectionable hit, was like an NFL clip of like oh, look at this great defense, and it's a guy targeting a defenseless receiver. Yeah. Like, what are we doing? So before we move on to other games, I do have to go back and defend soccer. I feel like the only people that talk about how weak soccer is are people who haven't played.
That's just what he told me.
No, I know.
I literally laughed out loud when I saw it because I was like, "Oh no, there's no name, there's no face Twitter account." And then what's funny is at the time we were up 9-6, and so I told him that, and we scored immediately. So I replied back with 10-6, and I thought about continuing the rest of the game, but I didn't. I restrained, but it was kind of fun.
All right, let's move over to the next game, which saw Ottawa beat Rochester 10-8. Rochester has lost 4 straight now. We both had them in the playoffs last week. Did this do anything to change your mind? You think they're still going to figure it out, or I
don't know. I feel like we gave them a kind of a big benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Already losing 3 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
But they're bad losses. Like, they lost to the Rock 11-10. You get blown out by Vancouver by 10. The next week game, okay, you lose to Vancouver by 1. Vancouver's a championship caliber team. Okay, that's fine. But then to lose to Ottawa, who they have some guys. We're not denying that. But they're not top of the league. And like, that's a game, in my mind, to like get back on track, because guess who they play next week? Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm not going to be that guy that's like, oh, they're done for, because I still think you look at their talent level, and at least on paper, they're so much better than a large portion. I just don't know what's going on. That you go from, what were they, 4-0, 4-1, something like that?
4-1.
Yeah, and they're putting up 15, 13, 16 to 10, 6, 15, and then back down to 8. Like,
yeah. Well, and the other thing too is, look at those wins that they had at the beginning of the season. The San Diego Seals was week 1. The San Diego Seals in week 1 is not who the San Diego Seals are now. And then the Wings twice and the Bandits once. And that was the start of like the Bandits just like falling off of a cliff. So as much as I don't know that their losses are good losses, maybe the 1-1 by Vancouver was you would say, okay, not a horrible loss. The rest of them, not particularly good losses, but none of their wins are particularly good wins either. And like you said, this Ottawa game is a game that you would feel like they should win. We should probably give them this much benefit of the doubt that this was the game Ryan Hartley missed, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, because he played last week, and then this was the one that he sat out for his suspension.
And to be fair to Hutchcraft, I mean, he did what he was supposed to. If you're giving up 10 goals,
that's Zach
Higgins had 50 saves. He played lights out. It's just concerning to me that, like I said, their offense has seemingly gone missing outside of that one Vancouver game.
Yep.
And again, like you go play Saskatchewan, and then maybe you get an easier schedule. You know, with Calgary, you get Vegas twice in a row, but even Vegas can put up a bunch of goals. So, you know, Oshawa probably feel pretty good about Halifax. How does Buffalo look by the time they play them again in April? And then you got back-to-back with the Swarm. So that's where it's like, I don't know that I love that schedule for them. If we're talking about, you know, making the playoffs. But on paper, at least, they're still better than a lot of these teams.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. You look at, apart from Saskatchewan this coming weekend, they're favored in a majority of those games. It's just, is the offense going to get anything going? You know?
Yeah.
I don't, right here, right now, I don't know that I have the faith that they will. And I'm not sure, like, okay, we assume they're going to lose to Saskatchewan. We assume they're going to win against Calgary. Although the Wings just lost to Calgary. Admittedly, the Wings are not like, you know, top tier, but it's like, you know, I don't know. I don't understand. Like you said, on paper, this is a pretty good team, and they just seem to be less than the sum of their parts. Like they just haven't put it together. Not in a very long time, anyway.
Well, I mean, McConvey went 0 for 11 shooting. If you're taking 11 shots, something's got to drop. You know, Connor Fields, 4 points, but only 1 goal. Ryan Lanchbury, 8 shots, only 1 goal. 3 points, but 1 goal. Yeah. They need their stars to score goals. Brian Smith, 6 shots, 1 goal. Why does Ryan Smith only have 6 shots? I'm sorry, but if we're giving out, you know, 9 to Zed, 11 to McConvey, 8 to Lanchbury, why does Ryan Smith only have 6? Like, that makes 0 sense. But even then, if he's going to take more shots, he's going to have to bury him, which they just aren't doing. And another situation where, you know, Teat and Hellier, 6 points apiece, 6 points apiece, that they seem to be fairly unstoppable when they're on that same page. Just, it's also just a weird spot for Ottawa to be in, because now it's like, how do we rate this win? You know, had you asked me a few weeks ago, I would have said, wow, that's a great win. They just beat Rochester. Now I'm like, I mean, good win, but, you know, you beat Rochester?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. It's a weird spot to be in.
That's been like one of the worst things about like being much more involved in the NLL this season has been like, I don't know who's any, like, how do I, like you said, you got your 3 teams kind of at the top, and then you have this mass in the middle where it's like, I don't know what any of this means, because it's going to be an exactly opposite result next week.
Yeah.
It doesn't, I don't know how to rank any of these things. So,
well, and especially like Rochester was up 4-3 at half. And then they were up, 6-5 after 3. What happened in the fourth quarter where you gave up 5 goals and only put up 2? Like, and 0 for 2 on the power play as well. You lose by 2. Just saying. Capitalize on those. It's tied. Again, it's just, I feel like it's the same story every week with some of these losses, where I'm just like, you outshot them by 15. You had 2 power play opportunities. You won more faceoff. You won more possessions. Like, who was the team that I said I was frustrated with a few weeks ago? I think it was Philly. That's shifting to Rochester. Like, figure it out, boys. Let's go.
Yeah, especially because with Philly, it's like, well, I mean, you guys kind of suck anyway.
Yeah.
With Rochester, you're like, you should be good.
Yeah. Like, we were talking about the midseason stuff a couple weeks ago, and now, we're talking about the teams that we kind of had maybe misread. All of a sudden, I'm like, I could look very, very wrong on Rochester because they were like this for so many weeks. I was like, this is great. Look at us. And now it's just like the
NLL
complete opposite.
genius.
I'm just like, oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild time.
Yeah, let's move from that Ottawa Rochester game to another game that I don't know what to make of, and that is Buffalo eking out a win against Halifax 11-10. I have no idea what to make of this.
There's nothing to make.
I almost didn't even want to
back on the track, but
I almost didn't even want to talk about it because it's just such a nothing burger of a game. It's like you won by one against another team that's disappointing. It doesn't seem to mean anything, like, what did this tell me about this team? Absolutely nothing.
You know
Absolutely
what it tells you?
Nothing.
It tells you that Mitch DeSnoo's the answer for Buffalo. He comes back in the lineup, they get a win. Coincidence?
I won.
I think not.
I mean, good luck, because your next two games are the Vancouver Warriors and the Saskatchewan Rush. So
let their fans celebrate. They've been through a lot the last few years. All right, this is tough on them. I know.
Listen,
and
Buffalo
this
fans.
is another game where Buffalo had a crazy first half, 8 goals, and then the second half they put up 3, and still managed to eat. Like, for Halifax, it's like just put up 1 4-goal quarter, just one. And I mean, 1 for 5 on the power play for Halifax, 1 for 4 for Buffalo.
Listen,
the fact that these teams are even in this position at this point of the year is wild to me. So,
yeah. Well, not so much with Halifax. I feel like they kind of do this, although normally they're higher up before they start doing this crap. But Buffalo, I know. But listen, Buffalo fans, take it from a Manchester United fan. We in the first 21 years of the Premier League, we won 13 championships. 13 of 21. We've barely got a sniff since. Finished 15th last year.
I don't think you're helping them feel better, because that just means you're going to be bad for years to come.
Was I trying to make them feel better? I don't think I was trying to make them feel better.
I don't know. I'm not going to speak.
I was just trying to say, like, look, life goes on, man. I know you guys got that lake effect snow, but Buffalo's supposedly a really nice summer city, right? That's what I hear. I haven't been there. I haven't been there.
I don't know.
That's what I hear. It's like Chicago light during the summer. Chicago's a great summer city. Why don't we have a Chicago in? Never mind. Let's move on to perhaps the biggest game of the weekend that saw Saskatchewan beat Vancouver 10-9. This was a battle back and forth the whole time. I think I could maybe use another goal or two, but otherwise I think this lived up to the hype. I know there was even a kind of a last minute opportunity for Vancouver to score and tie the game. I don't have a ton to say about this game. It was what we thought it would be. I was trying to give it the old Denny Green. They are who we thought they were, but
well, they are 2 heavyweights.
Yeah, just going toe for toe,
but again, Vancouver's got to figure out. They got to put at least two good halves together. You have 6 goals between the 2 first quarters, first half, and then 2 over the final 2 quarters. That's, and you went 0 for in the third. That's tough. And when you're playing a team like Sask, I know they went 0 for 3 on the power play, but they also were very disciplined and didn't collect any penalties themselves. You got to make sure you're perfect. Kind of beat them right now. So, granted, I still think if we had a series of this, I think Vancouver can get a game or 2. But I mean, yeah, this is kind of what you want to see from 2 of the best teams in the league. But Yeah, tough for Vancouver to kind of, because I don't think they're 6-3 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 6-3.
Yeah, 6-3. Sask moves to 9-1, which is, it's not a huge jump on Colorado, but it's still a big jump just because even if they get tied, they still own the tiebreaker or would. And now they're 2 games ahead of Georgia, so they're looking scary.
Sask does not own a tiebreaker. That game in April, the second to last game of the season, is the only time they play. So that would be the tiebreaker.
But right now, wouldn't the tiebreaker be like goal differential or
okay,
something like that? You know what I mean?
In that sense, yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know, but
I would assume it's goal differential. Although actually, you guys are tied on goal differential.
Are we really?
Yeah,
we are.
29. Wow. So I don't know what the NLL rules are. I know a lot of times if you're tied in record and goal differential, it moves to, I think, goals 4. So they would beat you on that by 3.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's all going to come down to that game. Because I would, again, I'm not super familiar with the NLL rules on tiebreakers, but I would think head-to-head would be the first tiebreaker, and then it would go to goal differential. Since you guys are only playing once, win that game, and I would think that you would own the tiebreaker. So, excuse me. 2 other games not to really do much of a deep dive into. The Wings lost to Calgary 10-9. I mentioned that it was technically possible for the Wings to go on a run, that they had a favorable schedule, and then they tripped. I don't even want to say at the first hurdle. They tripped in the starting blocks. They didn't even, the gun went off and they just fell over on their face. Like, they didn't even get moving. So I'm going to say their playoff chances are dead. Of course, the second I say that, they'll win 6 straight and be incredible. But I just thought it was funny that I tried to give them some grace. I tried to give them some space to, like, maybe make a run, at least make it maybe a little interesting. And then they just completely crapped the bed. They crapped the bed enough that in the Lax Lifers Discord, again, we were discussing, actually, maybe it was on, you know what, I take it back. It wasn't Lax Lifers. It was on Twitter. There was a guy who was asking some questions, and somehow I got into some NLL thread with Teddy Jenner, maybe? And it was a guy who was clearly trying to get into the NLL and didn't fully understand everything that was going on. And I mentioned that we were talking about Toronto. I kind of feel like the guy might have been from the Toronto area. We were talking about essentially how Calgary's number 1 pick or first round pick that technically now belongs to Toronto was being involved in whether or not they could get Joey Spallina, and how this game impacted that ability. And I'm like, dude, it's going to end up being, Philly's just going to like plummet down and end up taking that number 1 pick. And then the second game to, again, not really deep dive into, is the Seals beating the Firewolves 13-7. The Seals win once again. They have won 4 of their last 5. I actually thought it was 5 in a row, but it is 4 of the last 5. I forgot they lost to Saskatchewan last week. And again, like we talked about, this is not the same Seals team from week 1. I will say most of their wins have not been against particularly good teams. So I still want to see them. Like this week, they have Halifax. I think that could be a good test to really see where they are. Unfortunately for them, then they have Colorado, Vancouver, and Saskatchewan in 3 successive weeks.
Yeah, I'm hoping Pat Cav can get healthy for that Colorado game.
Because you want him to get hurt again?
No, I want to see him. And I would assume if he's still injured, he probably doesn't make the travel.
Yeah, I actually today saw. Admittedly, I don't know when this was posted. But on TikTok, I actually saw a video from Chris saying that his hand was healed. So
I saw he was in warmups this week.
Was he? Okay.
There was a picture that the NLL or Seals or someone posted that I was like, but then I checked the box score and he was scratched. So I'm like, well, at least he's suiting up. That'd be cool to see him too. But
yeah, like I said, I saw the video today, but I don't know when it was posted. You know how TikTok doesn't exactly share when things are posted. Like you can find it, but you kind of have to dig. But yeah, he was talking about how his hand was healed. He has that stringing page, and it was a video that was posted on there, and he was basically saying like, my hand is healed. I'm ready to like start taking orders again. And it made me think like, oh, I wonder if we're going to get him dressing for the Seals at some point in the not too distant future. So let's look ahead to this coming weekend. There are only 4 games on the NLL docket.
Hold on. Great win from Georgia on Sunday over Calgary, 11-6.
Oh, you know what? You know what? I'm dumb. I wrote the show on Sunday, and I was like, oh, I got to add in that Georgia game when it happens, and then I forgot to add it in. So yeah, that's my bad.
Not much to say. Great fourth quarter, Georgia. It was fun to watch.
That was come on, computer's just locking up. That was Calgary though, right?
Yeah.
There it goes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I saw a little bit. I know that Lyle Thompson crease dive was all over the place for some reason. Look at the hang time. I'm like, I guess.
He was in the air for a minute. I'll give it to him.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. I thought he jumped. Like, I don't know. I mean, I will say it wasn't as bad as Michael Sauer's little like hop last week. Yeah. Not that was bad. I mean, it did what it needed to do. It kept him out of the crease long enough to score the goal, but it did look a little silly. Like you said, a little bunny hop. So I'll give him credit for that. He was in the air certainly a lot longer than that. But now let's look ahead to the NLL weekend that will be. Colorado is playing the return leg against Toronto this week. You expecting that to kick off? We're going to get a fight in pregame warmups like we did?
No, in fact, coach was actually kind of asked about that. And he basically just said, you can't even think about it. He was like, you can't, he was like, some things aren't about getting even with. Because he even talked about after the Hiltz boarding, he was like, I'm really glad we made them pay by putting a bunch of goals on their head after.
Sometimes that is
I'm paraphrasing. He didn't use the words on their head, but that's what he said. And I was like, yeah, that's actually a fair point, because you don't always need to, like, if you get guys ejected just because you want to fight them again, like Hiltz, even if he plays, I don't think he's a dirty player. It was a dirty play. Yeah. I don't think he's a dirty play. I doubt he does that again. If he play, I don't think any of them are gonna like go out of their way to like do anything bad. And I don't think Pat Coyle would really tolerate that either. So I hope not. But I would assume the normal pushing each other happens.
Well, like you said, sometimes dropping 15 points on somebody's head is the best answer. So
Yeah. I mean, even if Colorado loses this game, even it out one apiece, they'd have to win by so many goals to even make up that goal differential.
Yeah.
And also from Colorado's perspective, they're 8-2 right now. Even if you drop to 8-3, who cares? Like, don't go out of your way and do something stupid and get yourself.
Yeah. The other 3 games of the weekend are Buffalo, Vancouver. Sorry, Buffalo fans. Probably not getting better for you.
Finals preview, baby.
I forgot that was our pick. That was our pick for the finals, wasn't it? Buffalo, Vancouver. I mean, I guess it's technically still on the table, but uh, Halifax, San Diego is this weekend.
That'll be a good.
I that's probably the most. Yeah, that's probably the most interesting one. Because then the final one is Saskatchewan versus Philadelphia. I I mean that is a big fat nothing right there. Is it in Philly? Do you know off the top of your head?
It is. It is in Philly.
I mean, maybe it's a long travel day and Sask is tired.
And this is the last week that Kyle Jackson played for them until championship is over.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So
yeah, because that's
maybe a big game from him is coming, and then Sask goes down to the wing. No.
You know, the way this season is going, I ain't putting it any. I'm not putting anything past anybody. But if
you're not
it happens,
saying what you're saying. I get it.
I mean, listen, the last time we said they weren't going to win a game was when they beat Buffalo. So
actually, I think both of their wins we said that they couldn't win, and they did. So
you know what?
So no, they can't win this game. There's no shot. Win. It's over for them.
No chance. No chance. Philly beats Saskatchewan. None.
They're going to score 17 now. Watch.
Anything else about this weekend's games intriguing to you?
I mean, even the Buffalo's bad. Vincent and Delbs is always fun to see, kind of the best of all, the greatest of all time going at it against potentially future greatest of all time in Delbs. I think that's always exciting. Again, San Diego, Halifax, I think are in similar boats roster wise. I shouldn't put it like that because that's not fully accurate. But I just mean in terms of how they kind of are playing, and what they're kind of fighting for, I guess, for those kind of last few roster playoff spots. So it should be exciting because Halifax, I know they're losing, but they still got some dogs that I think can show out. San Diego's on the rise. We'll see if Pat Cav can play again. We'll see if Chris can maybe crack the lineup. That'd be fun. Yeah. I would hope Toronto puts up more of a fight this week. Just as a lacrosse fan, I think that's better for the sport. It's also better for Toronto and the league. Good. That. And again, same thing with Philly. Just make it, respectable. That's all I really want. As a Mammoth fan, would love for them to win. That means Sask loses. But also Saskatchewan's really fun to watch. So there's that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's move off of the NLL for this week and move over to the NCAA. We will start with the game of the weekend on the NCAA side with Syracuse beating Maryland 11-9. This same sort of thing as what I said about Vancouver, Saskatchewan, I think was an incredible game that absolutely lived up to the way that it was being talked about in the moment. It had such a big game feel for I think both teams' second game of the season, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
And still being so early in the season.
Oh, Syracuse actually has played 3 games now, but it was Maryland's second.
Okay. I couldn't remember how many Syracuse had played, but yeah, for it to be such an early season game, it felt like a huge game. I love that it was Friday night. I think that played into a lot of it. In the lacrosse world, it was pretty much that Colorado Las Vegas game and then Syracuse Maryland. I think there was maybe another kind of some lower end games. But yeah, I mean, those were the 2 games, and it felt like everyone was watching Syracuse, Maryland, at least again from a field side. I'm sure lots of the NLL fans were not watching that game, but it was huge. Joey Spallina had 4 goals and an assist, or just 4 goals. I think he
just 4 goals.
Okay, only 4 goals. He only had 4 goals against what was at the time the number 1 team in the country.
Well, maybe if you learn how to beat his matchup, and maybe then score more goals.
That's one of the more interesting conversations around this. Was all these people were like, "Oh, Joey, shut up the haters. Oh, he did this, he did that." And I'm like, "No, he didn't. No, he didn't." Because the people that hated him Thursday still hated him Saturday, still were making excuses, still were saying, "Oh, well, they used the pick game, they did this, he didn't actually beat Shaler on anything, whatever." It didn't change anything. And to that point, probably the leader of the party posted and essentially doubled down on his take even after this performance, and said that, Joey was going to get a bump in his rankings, but but he still thought it was scheme. And I'm like,
okay, but you can make that argument for like any player ever. Don't get me wrong, like some guys are better dodgers than others. I'm not, disputing that, but like, and this is what's funny to me too, is like, I don't have any horse in the race. I don't really care. Like, I'm not a Syracuse guy. I'm not a Spelina guy. Like, I like watching him play, but that's about it. So when I see people like going out of their way to like discredit the stuff that he's doing, that's what's weird. And it's not. It doesn't just happen with Joey. It happens with a lot of guys. But it's just one of those. It's like, why do you feel the need to like dislike him and like tear him down? If you want to say he's not the consensus number 1 pick and you have a reason for why someone else is, like, okay, that's one thing. But some of these people, I'm just like, why? Like, is your whole personality just being a hater of this college kid who's like just put 4 on your head in a dub?
Well,
he used a pick. Not like that's the most popular, design in lacrosse.
Every player ever uses picks. Everyone
it's
ever.
So stupid.
One of I think the best dodgers in the field game over the last 10 or 15 years, Jordan Wolf, famously used picks all the time, used razor picks. He was like one of the big guys to use a razor pick. Like, I don't want to say he was the first one to ever use it. I'm not that dumb, but like he really kind of was like part of making it famous. Was like, and he was a very, very good dodger. And he still used picks all the time. Like it's just part, it would be like playing basketball and being like, well, he needs picks all the time. Yeah, like what?
Dude, if you eliminated picks from basketball, Steph Curry would be a shell of what he is today.
Like, what are we?
Which is where it's like we're just making things up, like making up random reasons to like hate somebody. It doesn't make any sense at all. Also,
the guy
as a team, is your goal not to win? Like Syracuse has championship aspirations, so if they go into a game and they're like, "Hey, we can just pick and roll the entire game and kill this team," why would you not do that?
The guy on the other side of the matchup has a 6-foot metal pole. Let's pick him and just make it easier on ourselves. No, he needs to dodge against that so that he can be proven to be a great player. Like, what are we talking about here?
I really want to know. I want to see these same people watch Jeff Teat. I just want to see, like, are they at least consistent with their hating? Like, if you're a consistent hater, then you know what? All right. But some of these people, I'm like, you do realize that some of the best in the world aren't the greatest dodgers. That's just a fact. Sometimes it's because of their size, their speed, like whatever it is. It doesn't really matter. That's just part of the game. And well, it's just funny when I go on Twitter and I'm just like, oh, this person's the hater. Oh, here's a whole thread of just hating. I'm like, this is just so.
And you know what I think so much of it has to do with too? I think people don't understand box. And I say that as someone who doesn't fully understand box, but people don't understand the way that people dodge in box and how they use their body. So again, the person that we're talking about wrote an article comparing the way that Joey Spallina dodges to the way Asher Nolting dodges. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Asher Nolting has like 4 inches and 40 pounds on Joey Spallina. And I love Asher, one of my favorite players ever. But let's be real. Slow, not good footwork. It's not even close. And so the idea was that Joey Spallina backs people down. And I was like, who's he backing down? He's smaller than everybody. Who's he backing down? And then I was watching box this weekend and I was like, you guys don't understand the way that box initiates body contact to create separation, to feel where the defender is, to even get him on your hip, feel, make a feint or something and then roll off of it. And I'm like, Joey played so much box playing in OJHL, not HL, that's Hockey League, OJLL, doing so. I'm like, that he has learned, because who else? Who the first person that I saw play, and I know he's not the first box player, but the first guy that I watched and was like, oh, because I remember he talked about it, Lyle Thompson. I was like, Lyle Thompson gets into his defenders all the time. And he used to always do the thing where he wouldn't quite chicken wing it, but he would use his arm to kind of, in a lot of ways, kind of ward and like pull through and stuff. And he was like, yeah, it's something that I picked up in box, and like you can watch him do it. And I just kept thinking, like you said, you guys just don't watch Jeff Teat enough. You talk this game and then you watch Jeff Teat do the exact same things and you're like, oh, Jeff Teat's amazing. And then Joey Spallina does it and you go, oh, see, look, he can't dodge. I'm like, what are we talking about?
Yep. I will say, I'll give Adam credit though. He's putting his thoughts out there. He did acknowledge that he'd bump him up a little bit. So I'll give him credit. I can't write articles like that, so I'll give him credit for that. I disagree with what he's saying, but I like that.
I will give him credit that he is not a faceless.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
His name is on it, and we know exactly. We can sit here on our show and say Adam Lamberti said this, and he's a moron. Not that I think that Adam.
I'm not saying that. I'm not going to that. Adam, that was him. That's his thought. Don't put me into that.
No, I'm not saying that he is a moron, but like we can say our things because he does put his name on it, and I'm with you. I will give him credit on that, even though I think he is very wrong. On that.
The thread I saw this weekend, I feel like it was like all faceless accounts.
There's a lot of those.
I feel like I can't take you serious. I'm not saying you have to have like the clearest like selfie, but just like, again, hating on a college lacrosse player from like behind the keyboard. But
my favorite was the guy that was yelling at me from a Maryland Terrapins fan account, and I'm like, gee, I wonder why you're not on board. Like, oh no, this is such a mystery.
Also, they lost by 2 goals as well. Like, it's okay to just be like, he had a good game.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, yeah, he had a good game. It is what it is. Like, it wasn't like you guys got blown out. There's potential for Maryland to go and see him again in the tournament. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like this thing that, they won by 7 and Joey only had 2 goals. Like, he had 4 of their 11 goals.
Yeah.
That's a good performance.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you're saying, if I was Maryland, I would be encouraged that I wouldn't feel like we played super well and we only lost by 2 and maybe when it comes back around, we could change something. I don't know that they can. I still don't think that they have the horses on the offense. I think this game kind of proved it. Eric Spanos was a big fat nothing burger. The Stick Talk boys call him No Bag Spanos, which is harsh. Again, we're talking about a college kid here. But it was kind of true watching. At one point, he drew a freshman short stick defensive midfielder and he couldn't separate. And it was like, this is the guy Adam Lamberti has as the number 1 pick. He can't separate from a freshman short stick defensive midfielder, but Joey is the 6th pick, the 3rd attackman on his list, because he can't dodge, apparently. So, I don't know.
This is why I don't project any draft of any sport, because there's too much to consider.
Again, like we were talking about, nobody cares when you get stuff right. Nobody cares when you get stuff right.
True.
It's only when you go out on a limb, like Adam did, which again, signed his name to it, so got to give him some credit there. But it's only when you go out on a limb and are, to be fair, he's not even wrong yet.
True. He could actually end up being right at the end of the year.
He could be right at the end of the day. I don't think he will be, but he could. But he's not even wrong yet, and he's just that's it. Like that's all that matters, and that's why I'm always like, I don't like to, we were talking about a pre-show. We don't like to do pick'ems because it only gets used as a weapon against you. It's not a fun thing to do because nobody cares when you're right. They only care when you're wrong. And I got no problem with being wrong. I got a problem with it only being that. I'm more than happy to give my opinion and to be wrong, and I will almost always admit that. Or maybe I'll argue a little bit more about why I was still kind of right. But
what a great transition into why Chad Palumbo was still going to win the war.
I was getting ready to make the same transition from one thing that someone else got wrong to something we clearly. Well, again, we're not wrong.
No, we got time. We
are not wrong yet. And that is the Princeton Tigers. They were absolutely mauled by Penn State this weekend, 13-7, which is so flattering for Penn State. They were absolutely destroyed in this game. If I remember correctly, it was 7-1 at the end of the first quarter, and it was 9-3 at halftime. And Penn State just came out and just completely took their foot off the gas, and Princeton got sort of back into the game, and it ended 13-7. This was not a 13-7 game. This was a demolishing. This was, as the kids say, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, BTA. I'm not allowed to say that anymore, am I?
I think you're allowed to say it. I don't know why you wouldn't, but
and I was going to create a graphic for the Chad Palumbo tracker. I'm not sure that there would be enough to add to it because he only scored 1 point in this game.
I mean, we could still make it. It's just, if this is what the season's going to be, not going to look very good.
You know what?
But
you know what?
Also, he had 2 points. He had an assist.
Oh, did he have 2?
Yeah, he had 2. He had 1 goal, 1 assist. So
I swear I only saw 1 point from him when I was looking, but because I watched the game, and then at the end I was like, man, did Chad Palumbo do anything? And I swear I only saw 1 point, but it was such a bummer too because the game was on Saturday, and I believe it was Friday they dropped that what was it, Beyond? They call it Beyond the Stripes? Is that what that little thing was called? That video that they made that like told his story.
Yeah.
And one, I didn't know the story, so that was cool to hear. And 2, it was a very well made video. Like I was really impressed with the production of it. And I was like, oh man, like that's our guy. He's got this great story. Like I'm all in. And then not just him. Let's be fair. It was not just him. That whole team just totally crapped the bed. And it was like, oh, cool. Glad we made Princeton our pick. And look, we're not running from it. We're not going to hop off the bandwagon. Don't worry, Brian. We we are going to stay with Chad Palumbo and Princeton. It's just going to be probably a tougher season than we were expecting for us.
Yeah, we just got on the wrong train to start. We got to get to the next stop, get off, get on a new train, and then this one doesn't matter. All right.
Wait, I literally just said we're not getting off the train, but now you're saying we're switching.
No. I just mean we went the wrong way. We gotta jump on the right. What's it called when you ride like the light rail? You know what I mean? They have the different lines. We're on the wrong line.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. We just need
right.
we need the same line just going in the other direction. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. It's week one for. Well, wait. Actually, this game 2 was it game? Was it game 1 for them?
I think it was game 1 for Princeton.
What? It shows Princeton as 1-0, but they definitely did not win.
What are you looking at?
I'm on their website. That when you click into the game, it says 1-0. Schedule
Why
results.
are they not?
Now, when you go to their schedule, it does say 0-1. So it's just an error on that. Yeah, see, week 1, now they got to go play Maryland this Saturday. So, and then they play Syracuse.
Yeah, it's not an easy first 3 games for them. Yeah.
And then North Carolina.
I'm not worried about North Carolina almost.
If they're putting up 7 goals, I'm worried about anyone they play.
Well, this is what I was going to say. Maryland and Syracuse, and to be fair, maybe even UNC might be losses. I just think they need to start better.
Yeah.
I mean, being down,
they lost this game literally in the first quarter.
Yes,
because everything else was matched.
Yeah, 100%. I didn't even notice that. Yeah. They just the game, and it's. I saw someone say this is one of the downsides about being an Ivy League school and not starting until February 14th, because Penn State had already played 2 games. Like they hit the ground running in this game, literally, and it was 7-1 before Princeton was like, whoa, like what happened? And like you said, that was where the game was won. So I would like to think that even though maybe they lose the next couple of games, that maybe they can start better and it won't be as ugly as this was. So the other game to discuss was Richmond beating UVA 18-12. And I just wondered your thoughts on who this game said more about, UVA or Richmond. And I can give you a little bit of context from my point of view first. I thought that this game said way more about UVA than about Richmond, because Richmond is, again, they are who we thought they were for the most part. I think that there are people that are looking at this game and being like, see, Richmond, they could make the Final Four. And I'm not saying that they can't. I'm just saying this game wasn't proof of it. I think I watched this game and thought UVA, not Syracuse, UVA should not be ranked. This is not a very good team, at least not right now. We were just talking about the NLL, and the San Diego Seals in week 1 are not who the San Diego Seals are now. UVA could be that same thing, but right here, right now, UVA should not be a ranked team. They are not good at all. And I thought that this game showed it. Richmond is more or less who we thought they were, and this game was much more about UVA and how not good they are.
Well, yeah, and Virginia in 2 straight games now has given up 14 plus.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is a problem.
Yeah.
If again, if you can put up a ton of goals, sometimes it doesn't matter how many goals you give up. But like in this one, you put up 12 and you're giving up 8.
Yeah.
I mean, Richmond had more than 12 in 3 quarters. I mean, they had 11 through the second and third quarter alone. They had 9 through the first and second quarter alone. So they clearly have to get better defense. Something has to change. I don't know. Again, I didn't get to watch this game, so I don't know if it's schematically or if it's just, execution. Maybe it's both. Because, I mean, their offense, I don't think, is playing all that bad.
No.
It's just the fact that they can't stop anybody on the other end.
And for all the comments about, how McCabe Millen, isn't that guy. He's not that good. From last year, he had 7 points in this game. Like, that dude's pulling his weight.
Yep.
I think Ryan Colsey.
He was 4 for 8 shooting, too. He was efficient.
Yeah, I think Ryan Colsey has looked good this year. Brendan Millen, and maybe that's the key to having unlocked McCabe Millen, was having his brother there. But Brendan Millen as a true freshman, I think has played fairly well. I mean, there are times when I think he looks like a freshman, but like you're saying, the offense is playing relatively well. And I don't love that they only put up 12 goals. But when Richmond puts up 18, it's like, yeah, if we could get a few of those not goals pushed back down onto our end of the field, maybe we score 14 or 15, and I just, what I do think is interesting is that I think the guys coming into the season that you expected to be really good, Truett Sunderland, one of them, the whole conversation was that he's him and he's the guy. I don't think Truett has looked super good this year. Like you said, this defense just, I mean, there's just nothing to it. And I was watching this game and I was thinking, Lars Tiffany is a defensive coach. Like, how are we this bad on I'm not a UVA fan, but how are they this bad on defense with Lars Tiffany as their coach? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And I just don't see where this Virginia team is going to make up ground. I mean, they're 1-1. Oh, that's right. They just barely beat Colgate. That's right. For some reason I was thinking they lost to Colgate, but they did beat Colgate. But I'm just like, who they got Stony Brook this week. That's probably a win, but then they have Hopkins, High Point, again, probably a win, but then Towson, Maryland, Utah, Dartmouth, Notre Dame, Duke, Syracuse, North Carolina, and Drexel. There's a lot of losses in that stretch right there. I don't know who they're going to beat. I wouldn't even be surprised if one of these lesser teams, like a Stony Brook or a High Point or something, beats them. Not all of them, but seeing one of them jump up and beat them, I wouldn't be surprised at all by that. So I don't know. They're a mess right now. Some other games from the weekend, we'll just bash these kind of all together. Army beat Yale 12-6. That's interesting because Yale was a favorite to win the Ivy. Not the favorite, but a lot of people were saying that they were going to be a lot better this year. That seems to not be true. Hopkins beat Loyola 13-7. That was another one that was really interesting because do you remember back in the preseason when everyone was talking about how Loyola had just absolutely rolled over Maryland, like 26-3 or something crazy. Like, it was an insane thing. And everyone was talking about how Loyola was going to be back and how they were going to be really, really good. I need to double check, but I believe they're 0-2 or 0-3 now. 0-2. And I would say they are decidedly not back. Cornell survived Albany 11-10. That one was very surprising. Well, I shouldn't say very. It was surprising. I'm hoping that it opened a lot of people's eyes. People have Cornell picked to be in the Final Four again, and I'm like, who's leading this Cornell team to the Final Four? Although I do think Albany is better than maybe some people thought, but Cornell, if they're going to be a Final Four team, should probably have beaten them by more. And then the last two games from this past weekend are my Duke Blue Devils beating Vermont 22-6. That was a fun game for me. It was not a particularly fun game for a neutral. It was a blowout pretty early. Kyle Colsey had 6 goals, and Ben Johnston also had 6 goals. Just a great day for Duke, and hopefully that continues. And then your boys Denver beat Utah, just beat Utah 8-7. Grayson Manning had a literal last second save. Reminded me a lot of that U20 game this summer where he also had that save. It was very, very similar, except if I remember correctly, I think the USA shot came from like up top, I think, and this guy was kind of coming around the edge of the crease. But otherwise, very, very similar. He was incredible down the stretch. I think I saw Utah went 0 for 13 down the stretch and didn't score for like the last 8 or 9 minutes of the game, despite putting up shot after shot. So, interestingly, we have you guys coming up, I believe.
Denver has Cornell.
Yes.
So unless you have like a bye or
sorry.
But.
I knew it wasn't this week. Sorry. But I meant it was coming up. But actually I'm looking at the schedule. It's more than a month from now. So it's not coming up. So I'm dumb. So yeah, we'll just move on from what I just said because I'm stupid. I did wonder how that game made you feel about Denver. I know that you are half joking when you say, Denver's going to win a national championship, but
who's joking?
But they looked really good, and then this game it was, I think Utah is better than people give them credit for, but when you're an NCAA tournament, those are like your aspirations for the team. You want to win more than 8-7 against a team like Utah. To that effect, Duke beat them last week 14-7. So I just wondered, coming out of that game, how you felt about the team.
I feel fine. I just think it was just a sloppy game. I mean, they had 17 turnovers, Utah's 9. That's going to be pretty difficult to overcome usually. So the fact that they even got the win, to me, was good. You get outshot 50-28. That's a lot of shots. That's not like just a few. That's, 22 whole extra. It's kind of wild. They're lucky they have Grayson Manning back there. 20 saves is, don't get me wrong, that's awesome, him individually, but I would like to see him not have to make that many saves, especially because, like we've been talking about, they have kind of the gauntlet of their schedule starting this week. Whether or not Cornell is going to be a Final Four team doesn't really matter. It's still Cornell. And then you get into, a bunch of other good teams over the next month and a half. So, yeah, definitely one of those that was like, really? It was only 8-7? But then you look at the numbers and it's like, oh, yeah, they threw the ball away half the time, stuff like that. So, obviously, if that trend continues, which through the couple of games that I've seen in person hasn't quite been the case, if that happens, then I'll be worried. But right now, gritty win, played about as poorly as you could. So I'll take it.
Yeah. That takes us up to the games this weekend. Obviously, like you mentioned, Denver does play Cornell this weekend. We also have Hopkins UNC, Princeton Maryland, which we talked about earlier, Cuse Harvard, and Georgetown Notre Dame. Those are kind of the big marquee matchups taking place this weekend. Any of those beyond, I'm sure, Denver Cornell tickling your fancy?
Not particularly. rolling through right now. I mean, I don't know. There's again, it's all the main teams. I really like that Georgetown Notre Dame game on Sunday. I think that'll be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think that'll be a really good litmus test for Notre Dame because I watched their game against Marquette this weekend, and I think for most of that game, they were only up like 2. They ended up pulling out. I think it was like a 5-goal win by the end of it, but for over 3 quarters, it was a 2-goal game, and it was like, this is Marquette, dude. Like Notre Dame is supposed to be challenging for national titles, and this is Marquette. And so I'm going to be really interested to see, especially because Georgetown, I didn't write their score down from this past week, but they were, let's see if I can find it real quick. I think they had, yes, they beat Penn 12-9, and the Connor brothers were very good in that game. So it'll be really interesting, like you were saying. I think that's a great shout. I wrote them down because it was kind of two bigger names programs and stuff. I didn't actually like really kind of think through. I like that one. Obviously, Princeton, Maryland, we talked about. That'll be interesting, but at this point, you're not going to be surprised if Maryland blows the doors off of them. So,
I'm gonna be surprised. I'm holding the Tigers up here, high standard.
Riding that orange line.
We got a standard to uphold here, boys. All right. 2 points. Chad Palumbo is not acceptable. All right.
We got to get on the orange line towards Charlottesville. We got on it the wrong direction last week. We headed up towards New Jersey, or they're in New Jersey, so we headed up towards New Hampshire, whatever, Massachusetts. Cuse Harvard could be interesting. I just don't really see it. I was hoping to actually go to that game, but we're supposed to get another like 5 inches of snow this weekend, so
time to go ice fishing.
My wife is like right over there. I don't want her to hear you.
I'll DM her and be like, Neil said something about you guys going ice fishing potentially.
She will too. She will. Yeah, but that's kind of it. I mean, the Hopkins UNC game, I'm probably going to watch because I want to watch good lacrosse. But it's one of those games where I just wish that both teams could lose. And knowing the way that those 2 programs have been going, they might find a way to do it. So,
yeah, there's only room enough for one baby blue school.
Listen, they call it Carolina Blue for a reason. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
Technically, the graphic designer in me wants to tell you that they are technically 2 different shades.
Oh, no. Are you going to bring out the RGB code too?
I might. You never know.
I'm gonna make a graphic and flip them. Just to get under your skin.
I mean, to be fair, I might not be able to tell. Just because I know that they're technically different colors doesn't mean I could tell you which was which.
That's fair.
I think I could, but I can't guarantee that I could. So, that is going to do it for this week. Brandon, before we get out of here, what you got going on this week, man?
Just Denver Cornell for me this week. Barring something coming up last week. So, I'm excited for it. As much as I like shooting a bunch of games, my body was screaming. Just running around football field, not necessarily my favorite thing, but so
no,
should be good.
Yeah, I don't think I have much of anything going on. Manchester United should play this week. They didn't play this weekend, so we didn't get a Manchester United update.
Oh yeah, I think they play on Monday.
I think you're right. Yeah, Monday.
Yeah, against Everton. Yeah, midday game.
Yeah. What you got to say?
I already told you.
Manchester United is going to win bigly.
Yeah, take the W. Split it.
Bigly.
We'll see. We'll see how you treat me the rest of the week, and then we'll make our final decision. We got 4 more days, 5 days.
You're just hanging it over my head.
Yep.
It's messed up. That's messed up.
Hey,
just wait.
I need maybe I need to go do some film study on Everton. You know what I mean? See what type of. Maybe I'll enjoy it more since apparently I don't like lacrosse. Much less physical. So. This is me starting beef between you and Toronto. But
is this you trying to get me to not be a Toronto Rock fan?
You said it, not me. Hey, most Toronto Rock fans I have a good relationship with. There's just those couple that enter my mentions. I don't even know how they found it, but
trying to think who do I know that's a Toronto Rock fan? Brad in Black Slifers.
Graham Perot on Twitter. He runs NLL stats.
Yep.
Also just has very good, I think, lacrosse knowledge. Fun. He's a fun follow.
Yep.
I don't know if Pat Gregoire is or not.
I was just wondering about him.
He's a Maple Leafs fan, but I don't know if that.
And that's part of the issue is that people are like Leafs fans, but then aren't necessarily Rock fans.
And I also don't know if he's, allowed to have a team. I don't know how
I was getting ready to say the same thing too. Yep.
But those are the two for sure that I know that I have a good relationship with. There's a couple of random ones that I think pop in Discord from time to time that I've seen you before. Welcome, but
we did have the new person join that is a Toronto fan.
Yeah.
That I actually thought was a bot because his name was something Android something, and I was like, this is a bot, right? But then he started talking about and I was like, oh, all right, I guess he's not. Like, cool, great. Thought I was gonna have to boot somebody, but I didn't. So, that all being said, that will wrap it up for us today. If you want to keep the conversation going, the best place to do that is, as we were just talking about, the Lifers Club. That is our community, and at its core is a free Discord where you can talk all versions of lacrosse with other lifers who care about the game as much as you do. All of the details are linked in our show notes or in the description if you are watching on YouTube. You can also find us on social. Brandon is at Hoot Sports Media, and I am Neil Barrett. Wherever you are listening, make sure you are subscribed, and if you have a second to rate or review the show, it genuinely helps us more than you probably realize. With that being said, we will sign off, and as always, we will catch you guys in the comments.
Go Mammoth.